What would you do if your wife is pregnant with her boss? Imagine finding out your wife's cheating. Not just with any man, but with her boss. Now imagine becoming that guy's stepdad, just so you could destroy his life from the inside out. Yeah, this is that story. I used to think betrayal would come with warning signs, shady texts, weird behavior, cold stares. But my downfall came wrapped in a celebration cake that said congratulations, Madison. Madison, my wife of 6 years, had just been promoted to senior marketing director at one of the biggest tech firms in Seattle. The guy handing her the promotion, Brent, her boss, the guy who wore loafers with no socks and smiled like he'd been sculpted out of douchebaggery. We had a party. She wore red. He came late, brought wine that cost more than my monthly car payment, and hugged her just a little too long. I should have known. Fast forward 2 months. Madison's moods shifted, faster than a Wi-Fi signal during a storm. I chalked it up to stress, until she puked on my limited edition Ghostbusters hoodie and said the 4 words that would flip my world. I think I'm pregnant. At first I was excited. We had been trying, but the timeline didn't add up. The night she claimed was the one. I was in Denver for a conference, and she had called it Girls' Night. I snooped. Sue me. I read her journal. I cracked her iCloud, found a secret album labeled Client Files. It was full of nudes, Brent-level nudes. One even had his Rolex in the frame. I know, I said, holding her phone out like it was dripping in betrayal. Madison didn't even try to lie, just sat there, arms folded, pregnant with the devil's spawn, staring at me like I was the inconvenience. It just happened, she said. We're drinking after the quarterly review. I cut her off. And then what? You reviewed his quarterly earnings. She didn't laugh. I didn't either. I moved out that night. Now I could have taken the standard revenge route, trash talk, expose the affair, leave her crying on social media. But I wanted something artistic, something Shakespearean. So I did what any unhinged, emotionally derailed revenge story. I stalked Brent's mom. Not in a creepy way, just enough to know that she was 52, rich, recently divorced, and had a Facebook page that made her seem lonely. As hell. Her name was Deirdre. She had a chihuahua named Nacho and a thing for gardening memes, so I slid into her DMs. At first it was innocent. I told her I was an app developer. Technically true. I once made a budgeting app that got 11 downloads. We bonded over classical jazz, grilled cheese, and trauma. She called me refreshing. I called her elegant. We met up for coffee, then wine, then, well, one day I woke up and Nacho was licking my toes. Gross, yes, but symbolic. Things escalated fast. She invited me to Napa. I'm at her book club. Within 2 months I was wearing a silk robe in her mansion, and Brent had no idea I was boinking his mom. Yet Deirdre invited me to Thanksgiving dinner with her entire family. I dressed sharp, brought wine, and wore a grin sharp enough to slice Brent's ego in half. When I walked in and saw Madison, also at the table, pregnant as ever, my heart did cartwheels. This was either going to be a disaster or my personal Super Bowl. Brent walked in late, typical. He froze the moment he saw me. What the hell are you doing here? Deirdre smiled. This is Daniel, my boyfriend. Boom. I raised my glass. Nice to meet you, Brent. Heard you work under my girlfriend. Small world, huh? Brent stared at me like he was trying to solve a math problem using rage alone. You single quotes re ... dating my mom. Deirdre, bless her Botox frozen smile, chimed in. More than dating, sweetheart. We're in love, aren't we, Danny? Deeply, I said, squeezing her hand. Brent dropped his fork. Madison looked like she was about to hurl mashed potatoes onto the centerpiece, but he's Madison's ex-husband, Brent stammered. Oh honey, Deirdre said, sipping her wine. He slept with his wife, tit for tat. I nearly choked, trying to hold back my grin. That was the moment Brent's brain cracked. I could see it like a computer forced to run Windows 98 on a modern gaming rig. 3 weeks later, I was still playing doting boyfriend. Deirdre was planning a massive baby shower for her grandchild, aka her son's affair baby with my wife. Irony was now my daily vitamin. Brent invited me to the baby shower like a masochist begging for pain. Can we talk? He whispered as we were setting up helium balloons that said it's a boy. Sure, son, I replied, with the biggest asterisk-teating grin I could muster. You're sick, twisted, maybe, but at least I'm not sleeping with married women and knocking them up during company retreats. You need to leave my mum. Why? So you can have one woman in this family I haven't seen naked. He turned red. I turned the volume on the party playlist up. I didn't expect Deirdre to actually fall for me, but one night, mid-wine, mid-fireplace glow, she looked at me and said, Danny, ... I've been thinking. I want to get married again. I nearly choked on a truffle. Like ... married. Yes, she said, glowing. We're amazing together. You make me feel alive. And all I could think was, if I marry this woman, Brent becomes my stepson. Officially cue the evil internal laughter. So I said yes, because I'm a sick, petty bastard with a flair for the dramatic. Before the wedding, Deirdre gave me a I hired a lawyer to review it. Turns out if Brent ever acted against her spouse, may financially or personally, he'd be removed from her trust, and her trust was worth a cool $12 million. You see, Deirdre wasn't just rich, she owned 37% of the company Brent worked for. It was family wealth. Brent was an employee. I was about to become upper management, so I signed a prenup with one hand and held a match to Brent's future with the other. We got married in Sedona, a beautiful cliffside ceremony with sun, string quartets, and too many pastel suits. Brent refused to come. Madison showed up, heavily pregnant, bitter as burnt toast. I thanked her for introducing me to the best thing that ever happened to me, her boss's mother. Then I kissed Deirdre right in front of everyone. Camera flashes, champagne, classy vengeance. And just as we were cutting the cake, "Oh, by the way," I said into the mic, "I've accepted a position at the company. I'll be working in corporate strategy, reporting only to the board. So Brent, I guess you'll be reporting to your stepdad now." Mic drop. 2 weeks later, Deirdre called me into the living room. She was holding an envelope. Madison had finally done a paternity test. And you're not going to believe this. The baby, it wasn't Brent's, it was mine. Flashback to a drunken anniversary dinner 6 months ago, 1 week before Denver. Turns out Madison had been juggling 2 men like a circus act. I had unknowingly fathered the child that Brent was ready to raise. The universe has a sense of humor that's both cruel and poetic. With proof the baby was mine, I filed for full custody, arguing Madison was unfit due to deception, instability, and ongoing mental manipulation by Brent. The judge didn't buy the Brent stuff, but once she saw the messages Madison sent me during the affair, one of which said, "Don't worry, Brent will never know it's his," I had her cornered. Meanwhile, Deirdre updated her will. Brent got docked inheritance. I was named executor. Brent wasn't just working under me at the company now. He had to answer to me in every possible way. It's been 3 years. I'm still married to Deirdre. We don't sleep together much, but she really likes my foot rubs and I like her wine cellar. Brent quit the company, moved to Arizona, and teaches yoga or something. Madison lost custody but sees our son every other weekend. As for me, I tuck my toddler into bed at night, then sip a 60-year-old scotch and stare at the framed family photo on my desk. Me, Deirdre, and our grandson. Her grandson, my son Brent's almost son, and me, his stepdad forever.